Very warm welcome to WsCube Tech. So guys, in our previous session, we have covered how to create arrays using Numpy. In our today's session, again, we'll be talking about creating arrays but using different functions that are there in our Numpy. So we'll be talking about different functions that are there in our Numpy. So let's get started and see what are all these functions. So our first function over here says a range. We will be using a range over here. A range has a starting value. That means we have a starting value over here, an ending value, and a step over here, and a data type. That means you can start a starting value. For example, you can give that my starting value should be of, I should not be giving the curly brackets. We'll be putting it inside the square brackets. So for example, my starting value over here should be 0. My ending value over here, that means to stop, that means I want to stop at, let's say, number 6. So number 6, so suppose if I want to go up to number 5, like 0, I want an array to be like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that case, what I'll be writing? I'll be writing the starting value as 0. If I write 6, then it will only print up to 5. 5 over here, in that case, it would have printed only up to 4. Okay. So if I write up to 0 to 5, and if I want a step in between, if I want the step to be default over here, in that case, we don't need to write anything. But if we want a step in between, suppose I want to obtain 0. After 0, I want to obtain 2. After 2, I want to obtain 4. In that case, I'll write 2 over here. Lastly, if you want the data type to be changed, for example, the default data type over here is integer. But if you want to change the data type over here, in that case, you'll put dtype, and dtype is equals to, you can write float. So our default over here is integer, but if you want to convert it into a float, in that case, it would give 0 point, 2 point, and 4 point. That means it will convert it into a float. So this is how arange works. It returns an array with evenly spaced element as per the interval. Whatever interval we have given, based on that, it returns an element to us. So let's have a look on how arange works. So to use Numpy, first of all, we will be writing our import keyword. So import Numpy as np, will be creating an alias over here. Now if I want to create an array over here, I'll be writing arr is equals to np dot. So we do not need to create an array. All we need to do is write a range. A range has starting value. So starting value, let's say my starting value is 1. I need to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means I want to obtain over here 5 elements. So I'll be writing 6. I don't want to give any interval. So as soon as I run only this much. So if I run it, I'll get an output. Nothing, because we have not printed it. So let's just print it directly, that instead of writing this, let's just print it. That print np dot arange. And if I write it, I'll get the output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the format of an array. You can see if you want to check its data type, you can check its data type by putting it inside a variable and writing data type. Similarly, if you want to give the data type as float over here, in that case, you need to put comma and write dtype is equals to float. And if I run it, I'll get the output as 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 and 5.0. That means zeros are not there, but we need to just understand or assume that there are zeros. So they are in the format of a decimal. That means the decimal is value are there. Okay. So this is how our data type works over here. Now let's talk about, suppose if I would have given 0 over here, or if I want it to start from 0. I want it to start from 0 and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that case, you don't need to provide the starting value. If you don't provide the starting value, it considers the starting value as 0 over here and it writes us 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similarly, if you want it to start from 1, and if you want to give an interval, then you can give an interval over here as well, by writing 1 as the starting value, 6 as the ending value, and 2 as the interval in between. So it would give us 1, 3 and 5. So this is how np.arange works. That means all we need to do over here is give a starting value, give an ending value, give an interval. And if you don't write anything, that means that it will go up to the default values. And obviously we need to write the ending value, because if I don't write the ending value, then where our array will stop, we don't know. Okay. So we obviously need to write the ending value. For the starting value, you can put it as default, and default value over here is 0. And if you don't give any interval in here, then the interval is of 1. And if I will write -1, in that case, what it would do, it would give me the reverse. So the reverse would be in this way, that if I just write 6 and -1. Similarly, if you just want this, like if you want up to 6 and you want, okay, we have to give. So this is how interval over here works. So this is how arange works. Now let's talk about our next function, that is called as zeros. So zeros over here says that the numpy.zero function returns a new array of given shape and type with zeros. That means what does zeros means over here? Suppose you have given a shape of 2 by 3. That means you have given 2, 3. So that it will create 2 rows of 3 columns. This is how an array would be created. And type, that means you can define a type over here. Data type could be integer or it could be float over here. I guess the float, the data type, the default data type over here is float. We'll just check it in our program as well. So here I'll write, let me just put this one inside our comment. So I'll be putting this inside the comment and I'll write print np dot zeros. And in the zeros, we don't need to give a starting or the ending value. I just want, suppose I want 3 elements and data type is equals to int. Okay, so if I run it, I'll get the output as 3 elements. That means there is only 1 row. But at the same time, if I want 2 columns and 2 rows and 3 columns. So in that case, for 2 rows, I'll be giving 2, 3. 3 will be the number of columns. The first value defines the rows. The second value over here defines the columns. So if I run it, I'll get the output 2 rows and 3 columns. Similarly, it goes for vice versa as well. That suppose if you want 3 columns, and I'll write just 3 columns and 3 rows. In that case, it would give us 3 columns and 3 rows over here. And default data type is integers. If I don't write anything, default data type is actually float over here. If I don't write anything, I'll get a float. And if I want integer, in that case, all I need to do is write d type is equals to int. So if I run it, I'll get the default data type. I won't get the default data type. I'll be getting integers. Okay. So this is how zeros work. That all you need to do is provide with the shape, and that number of zeros it will provide to us. If I want in 1D only, I just need to write 3 and I will get 1 dimension. If I want multiple of them, in that case, I just need to define the number of rows and columns. The first one over here, the first value provides with the rows. The second column over here, the second one over here provides with the number of columns. Similarly, the ones work. So our next function is ones, and it works in the same way, only that if I write print np dot ones, and let me just put this above 1 inside the comment. So np dot ones, and here I'll be giving that I want 3 of them, like 1 row of 3 elements, and data type, if you don't give any data type, it will be a float. So it will give me 1.0, 1.0, 1.0. At the same time, if I want to define a data type, in that case, all I need to do is I'll just put a comma and write d type is equals to int. And if I run it, I'll get 3 ones. And if I want to define the shape, in that case, all I need to do is pass a tuple over here. So 3, 4. So I want 3 rows and 4 columns of ones. So I'll obtain 3 rows and 4 columns of ones. So it has formed a matrix over here for us. So this is how our ones work. Let's move ahead and talk about our next function. So our next function over here says full, numpy.full. Numpy gives us a new array. It gives us a new array with an element that we have provided, with the shape that we have provided. Suppose if I want to give a shape of 2 by 3, but I want the element which is there in 2 by 3 as 8 or 9 or any particular single element. In that case, I'll be just writing it in this way. Suppose 2 by 3 I'll provide. So 2, 3 inside a tuple, and I want the value to fill in. So like 2 rows are there, 3 columns, but which number to fill in? So I want it of number 8, and the data type, d type is int. In that case, what we will obtain? In that case, we will obtain 2 rows of 8 with 3 columns. So we will obtain something like this. Okay. Now let's have a look on how it can be done in our PyCharm. So in our PyCharm, all we need to do is we need to write print np.full. And here we need to pass, first of all, I'll be writing 4 values. Okay, I want 4 values of 8, and data type would be int. Okay, so 8, 8, 8, 8. That means 4 elements are there. The number is 8 and the data type is integer. Okay, similarly, if I want to provide with a shape, I can just provide with a tuple over here. That means I want 2 columns, 3 rows of 8. So if I run it, I'll get 2 rows and 3 columns of 8. Data type is integer. If you want it in float, you can write float over here. And as soon as you run it, you will get the output in the float. So this is how our full work. Now let's move ahead and talk about our last function, that is reshape. So reshape does not create an array for us, but what does it do? It gives a shape to our array. So for example, in our first one, we had np.arange, which would give us the range of whatever, it would give us the array of whatever range we have provided. Suppose if you want to give a shape to it, in that case, we will be using this reshape method. Let's have a look on how reshape can be used. So let me just put this one inside the comment, and if I'll write in the next line, first of all, let me just create an array. For that, I'll be writing print, and I'll be using np.array over here to create it. So np dot, not array but arange, and starting value, or I want 6 up to 6. So if I run it, I'll get the output 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I want to reshape it, in that case what I'll be doing? Now once it has created the array for us, in that case what we'll be doing, we'll be giving it a shape. So I want it in a form of this way, like I want 0, 1, 2 in one row and 3, 4, 5 in our second row. So what I can do, instead of not putting comma, I'll be putting a dot over here and reshape function. And here we can pass the number of rows we want. So I want 2 rows and 3 columns. And as soon as I run it, I'll obtain this same value. That means I'm not making any changes with the data, but I'm just giving it a shape over here. For that, I'll be using reshape, and I have obtained over here 0, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5. Now, you need to remember that the shape should be based on what elements you have given. Suppose if I would have given over here up to 5. That means I would have got over here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in 5 elements cannot be reshaped into 2 rows and 3 columns. There will be only 3 elements in the first one and 2 elements in the second row over here, which is not correct. So if I run this, it would throw me an error, because cannot reshape array of size 5 into a shape of 2, 3. That means 2, 3 should have 6 elements over here. So here we need to provide, suppose if I write 9 over here. Okay, 9 means, that means I want to obtain it up to 9 elements. So 0 to 9. Now 0 to 9 can be reshaped into 3 by 3. That means 3 columns and 3 rows can be created of 0 to 9. Similarly, if you know that how many rows needs to be created, that I know that there are 3 rows that needs to be created, but I don't know how many columns needs to be created. In that case, what you will do, we'll write -1 over here. As soon as we write -1, it would create automatically something for us. And even if you don't give the rows over here, if you write -1, then it would create a simple one-dimensional array of all the elements that you have provided over here. So this is how our reshape function works. So I hope guys that all the functions over here are clear to you. In our first one, we used the arange method, where we have given the starting value, ending value and the step in between. In our second method, we have used the zeros. Zeros will give us all the elements in the format of 0, and we can provide the shape, in which shape we want to obtain them. The number third one, we have ones. In the ones, we will get all the elements as ones, but we can provide with a shape and also the data type that we want. And on number 4, we have dot full. That means np.full will give us the element, whatever element we want to print. It will first take the first parameter as shape, the second parameter as the element we want to fill in, and the third parameter as its data type. Lastly, we have used reshape over here. Reshape allows us to give a shape to our array. Suppose if I don't want to make any changes with the array, but I want to provide it with the dimensions over here, or if I want to provide it with the shape over here, in that case, I'll be using the reshape method. So I hope guys that all the functions that we have covered here are clear to you. In our next session, we'll be talking about the more functions that are there in our Numpy array. So stay connected guys, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.